Hey, good morning and welcome back to the channel. Yes, we've had a cold snap. It's been snowing, believe it or not. So today is a good example of best laid plans of mice and men, which is a reference to this concept that we think we know what we're going to be doing, and sometimes basically my van tells me what to do at times. That may sound super woo-woo to some of you, but I thought I was going to start building cabinetry. But because I've got space limitations here, I can't build a cabinet and then store it in the back of a warehouse and paint it slowly and have it all inside. I have to build something, paint it, install it in the van, right? And so because, as I said in the last episodes, I'm actually using every single piece of space, which means every toe kick is a drawer of some description or a shower in today's example. I need to build those things first before I put cabinetry on top of them, because sometimes they're not that easy to uninstall once they're installed. So I woke up and went, oh, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not building the cupboards today. I'm actually going to build the shower pan. So that's what I'm starting on, and maybe another drawer. See what I get to today. So I've spoken about this a little bit before, and I've already built the frame. You saw me building the frame a few episodes ago, or starting to do framing. And then I've got my 500-pound heavy-duty ball-bearing drawer slides to do this. Why 500 pounds? Well, I'm not 500 pounds, but when you're going to be standing on, which this is going to roll out, and when you're going to stand on it, it needs to be solid. And what I decided to get to were lockable slides. What that means is it locks back in place, which will lock my drawer in place, and it will lock when it's out, which is a safety issue. Ball bearings want to move, but when it locks out, it means it's going to be solid and safe as a pan when used as a shower. So today, effectively, I'm just doing the sketches and the measuring, and then I'm going to be cutting. I'm not entirely sure whether I'm using 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch ply. I think I'm using 1/2 inch because I'm going to build up a lot of other stuff on the floor, including tile and waterproofing. So probably 1/2 inch now that I think about it. It's actually good that I'm sort of building a drawer basically first, because learning how to build cabinetry, making sure cabinetry's square, making sure, I made sure this is exactly 18 inches, right? So when you're building things, they need to be square if you're about to put drawers in, because drawers need to be really square when they're smoothly moving in and out, especially drawers. So I know I'm a little bit nervous about the cabinetry, but that's not the reason why I got this ping to do this today. I got this ping to do this today because it's the right thing. It's the toe kick, it's the base. I need to do it first. Okay, so trusty measuring tape, sketch pad as always. And one of the other things, just as a bit of an aside, when you've got pieces of plywood, which I've got 5 by 5 1/2 inch, and I've got 4 by 8 3/4 inch at the moment, it's a really good idea, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit. It's a good idea to draw a plan of it and then map out your cuts. So before you've done that, you will have done all your sketches and you'll know exactly the shapes and the sizes that you're needing. And then you can just lay it out on the plan here and cut it like that. Why? Because we don't want to waste materials, especially now, because materials are expensive. And so at the moment, I'm going to be cutting very small strips off the edge, so it's not as big an issue at the moment, but I'll get back to that when I start building the cabinetry. All right, so I'm going to dive on in. So the reason why I am playing with the slides, in this position where they can move around, I've got to think about all sorts of things here, right? So I need to think about my access to these little knobs, right? So you'd usually have a faceplate here all the way across your drawer, but I'm going to have to cut out a U shape so that I can, from the front, access these easily, right? So there's going to be a hole, and I also don't want them buried too far back, because that's going to be hard to get to. So the reason why I'm protruding these a little is I want them flush with the edge of the front of the drawer front, and there'll be a cutout around it so that I can access it from here on each side, right? So both of them lock, so It makes it doubly safe. So that's showing me my position, which then shows me my depths, right? So if I know that, so this is going to protrude 3/4 of an inch because of the drill front will be 3/4 of an inch. And then it shows me the back here, which is exactly how I planned it because I've actually got a waste pipe down there, so I needed that little gap at the back, right? Okay, so I've measured that the drawer so far will be 24 inches long. Now I'm trying to work out the height and the width. So, my super early morning, cold day rough sketch, 24 inches long, 16 5/8 wide, and 3 5/8 tall. That is the drawer box that I'm making. Now I need to work out exactly my cuts for each length, and that's what I'm about to do. So I may have said this before, I always sort of dry position things again and again before I glue and screw anything, and this is the first drawer I've ever made in my life, and I'll put it in I'll set it up like a drawer basically before I do anything, and then I'll put it in its slot before I do anything. And when I did this the first time a minute ago, I had done a miscut, a miscalculation. And so now I'm doing it again, rechecking it. Fantastic. There's my box. Okay, which is 2 sides, 2 backs, and the base. Now, because this is going to be a shower, the base is actually also 1/2 inch. So I'm making the whole thing out of 1/2 inch birch ply. I'm about to screw and glue it, but I'm going to dry fit it in its location first before I do anything. It's back over here. So when I say dry fitting, what I mean is I'm checking anything before I glue it, make it permanent, glue it into position, and I'll really think about all of the implications of what this thing impacts. Well, the whole way through my decision-making processes, okay? This is why it's now 3 hours into me making my first drawer, because I've been just really thinking about every step. And I know that sounds crazy to you people that know what you're doing, but when I get this right the first time, I'm going to be able to replicate it. So here's a really good example of why I dry fit. Okay, so I've got everything in here. I've got the drawer slide and all of the pieces, right? And despite all of my fabulous measurements, it's very tight, which shouldn't be a problem, except for this last piece that is not going in. Let me see what's going on here. It's 1/8 of an inch too wide. My cut was a bit broad. I'm going to go recut it. It's proof of concept here, right? It's in. It's actually so tight to the slides that we can actually show it doing what it would do. So we're good to go. Just doing any double checks. I'm not actually screwing it in yet, obviously, and it's sitting on the ground at the moment. I lift it up a little bit, but there we have it. Now to screw in and glue in. So I'm doing this a little bit unusually because the base is on the inside. You'd usually screw and glue the box first, and then you put some sort of base in this style. So I'm actually going to glue the ends first to the base, and then I'm going to put the sides on that. Here goes. We have it, and I'm going to dry it in the spot to make sure it's super square. So that went really well, and I'm drying it in situ. I checked the diagonals. You might have seen me do that. I checked there to there and there to there to ensure that it was square, but just so I know it absolutely is going to fit where it's supposed to go, I'm going to dry it right here with, you know, in the spot it's supposed to go, and then there's no way it won't fit when it's dry. So that's this project done. See where I'm at? Just finish that. I'm actually just drying it in this spot because it's really tight. These are 500-pound slides, right? So I'm actually just going to dry it there. But I just did all the flooring.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, there's all these finishes that will happen at the end, right? All these edges. I'm really big on making sure all that stuff gets covered.
Sure.
And I'll put beige silicone around this, I think.
Wow.
It's pretty, isn't it? It's good colour.
Beautiful.
It's called honey something.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then I put those in because that's the step up, right? So step up there, and there'll be a drawer at the back and a drawer out the front, and then obviously I'll put this on that next level. So yeah.
Very cool.
And then there's actually this is so tight in there that I can actually play with it, and these actually lock, which is cool. I mean, they're just sitting there at the moment, but they'll lock that way and they'll lock in place this way.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's really safe, right?